Okay, hey guys, and welcome to week 73 at the underwaterrealm.com video blog. This week we're going to be talking to you about one of the toughest shoots that we had to do, and it was... nobody ever really believes me when I say this one was tough, because it just happened to be on the beautiful island of Oahu in the Hawaiian Islands. People honestly think I'm joking when I come back from Hawaii and they go, "Oh, so how was it?" You go, "It was really tough." And they say, yeah, I'm sure you had a really difficult time, but actually it was a particularly difficult shoot. We'd just come from a kind of 30 to 35 crew shoot in Cheltenham for 149 that had been a real struggle, but we'd always had the kind of the support and the backup we needed, and we were in control of the environment. When we got to Hawaii, everything changed. It was myself and Rich Maskey, and then we flew out with actor Dan Richardson to go and film with an actress who was actually already out there. That meant that while I was directing, we had Rich Maskey operating the underwater camera, and that was it as far as the crew was concerned, which was a big enough challenge at the best of times. But we figured, hey, we're going to Hawaii, it's going to be beautiful sandy beaches, it's going to be glorious sun the whole time, and the water clarity is apparently excellent. Yeah, which it absolutely was. We arrived after a little bit of an ordeal with our first 20-hour flight, and got out there to enjoy the first morning. Absolutely stunning, everything you could possibly hope for. In fact, the first trip into the water, we actually swam with 5 turtles. Now, to put that into context, when we were in the Red Sea, we saw 2 turtles at a distance the entire time we were there, whereas now we saw 5 on our first swim casually, and we were right up close to these things. They're swimming around, coming up to have a look at you. Absolutely glorious, absolutely glorious. But we needed a very specific location, so we spent the first 3 days there enjoying the sun and location scouting. That meant going around the whole island trying to find the exact perfect spot that we needed in order to make this story come alive. To put it in a little bit of context, we were casting a honeymooning couple that were freediving. This whole thing was going to be one single take, and it was going to be taking place from a breath hold up on the surface with a kayak, swimming down through a system of caves and tunnels to come to rest inside a cave. So we needed some quite specific terrain, and we were location skating around the island. We found a beautiful location called Sharks Cove. Absolutely stunning, really nice lava tubes and tunnels, and the light penetrated the water. It was just great, just exactly what we needed. And so we had a week out there. We took our time, and that was the biggest mistake that we made. Never ever take the weather for granted, even when you're in the iconic holiday destination, the beautiful island, the Pacific island of Hawaii. Never take it for granted. We had 3 days of glorious weather, during which we plotted exactly where all the safety cylinders of air were going to be, exactly what route the camera was going to take and which route the actors were going to take, and had it all planned out meticulously until we turned up on day 4, when a really early winter swell had hit in, and it basically turned the whole island into a washing machine. It was absolutely impossible to film. From that point on, we started thrashing. We didn't know what to do. We had kind of 3 days left, and we had to shoot the entire picture, and we had no location now, and certainly no decent conditions. So we started driving laps around the island. We started trying to find somewhere that could work, and just coming up with nothing. And very exhausting days of driving, stopping, swimming out about a mile to sea, swimming down, only to find that the visibility was just as bad and the water was just as choppy, and continued this for day after day after day, until it got to, I think it was the Saturday, and we were due to fly home on the Monday morning, and just had no idea what to do. It was a real low point. It was just, felt so impotent, and it was so ironic that we were making a series of films about kind of embracing the ocean and not trying to control the ocean, and at the same time trying to control the ocean and being kind of let down. Very difficult time, but we ended up making the very difficult decision to use every ounce that was left in the budget and actually extend the trip for 4 days and fly to a different one of the Hawaiian islands, a really beautiful island called Big Island, or Hawaii itself. And just everything changed from that point. We met up with the absolutely fantastic Charlie Fasano, who's a fan of the blog and been following the blog for a long time, and he said, "Hey, come on out. I think you'll find that Kona, where I live, actually the visibility is a hell of a lot better than Oahu. We've got some really pristine locations, and we might just be able to save the shoot." So we went out there, and lo and behold, we got in the water on the first day. There was a horrible swell coming in. We were kind of getting bashed up around the coral. And Charlie got in the water and turned around and he's like, "Guys, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. The visibility is pretty crappy." and we got into the water and it was unbelievably clear. I think down in Kona they just have a very different scale for what constitutes bad visibility. We'd gone from 15 feet on Oahu to over 60 feet of visibility in Kona. Absolutely stunning location, but we were still very much against it in terms of schedule. We had Dan for another couple of days, and we were filming with Lauren Ashcroft, our actress out there, who's also a freediver, and just spent some very difficult days scouting, again, new locations to get it just right, rehearsing, and then getting the shots. Very tough shoot inside a cave called Freeze Face Cave, which was so called because fresh water was constantly pouring into the back of the cave, which was very, very, very cold. We also had to contend with swells. While the water was clear, we weren't launching off a beach. We weren't kind of walking in and just kind of gradually working our way to these locations. We were having to come in off the top of the reef while the water was smashing in. This swell never went away, so there were some pretty sizable waves, and we got very badly bashed up on coral reefs. Interesting point, when you get cut with coral, the coral actually starts growing inside your body, which we didn't discover until we were on the flight on the way home, and our legs ended up like tree trunks. We ended up actually in hospital and on quite a strong course of antibiotics. So really watch out for that if you ever go diving. Pretty nasty stuff. But right down to the minute, 2 hours before our flight home, we got out of the water having wrapped, just about finishing the shoot. It pushed us harder, I think, than any shoot has ever pushed us. But we got there in the end, and that is the story of Hawaii. Next week, we're going to be talking a little bit more filmmaking as we come back to look at the 1942 shoots. That's the Spitfire cockpit shoots for the dogfights on land, and then putting the Spitfire cockpit underwater as it plummets towards the ocean floor. So we'll catch you next week for week 74 of the underwaterrealm.com.